If you're a summit host, you're probably communicating with speakers, sponsors, affiliates, and attendees all at once, and that could be hundreds of emails. So this process can be really complicated. You could have your email templates in a Google document or a couple. You could have your sending system in Streak or some kind of pipeline third-party tool that is tied to Outlook or Gmail. You could have a database or spreadsheets, often many spreadsheets for tracking the yeses and nos and what stage speakers are at so that you know you only need to message certain people who haven't filled out their form or confirm they're in. So the process can get really messy. And in another video, I go over how to push the whole workflow into Airtable. The email templates can live in Airtable with placeholders that are automatically populated with the right information, from the event name to all the key dates and deadlines to specific things the speakers need to do, like even their pre-fill forms can go into templates once they're pushed into an email queue table. So we take a template, we push it into the queue. The queue reads the start date, which is tied to key dates and deadlines that we find in the event layer, where we could have the start date of the summit. We could have the start date of the promo window. We could have all these dates just in one row in the event table that feed these other systems to know what's going on. So today I thought I would get a little more granular and under the hood for anyone who wants to see the supporting automations to make this work. What you can see on the screen now is my email templates table where I store all the templates. Here you can see invitation templates. These go out to prospective speakers. These templates over here are going to go out to people who say, I'm in. You see all these placeholder fields that get populated once they make it to the queue with the real information, the event name, the pre-filled form link that this specific speaker is going to get, so that they don't need to fill in all the information, and also so that I can easily link that person back to their record in Airtable. I'm not going to get into the weeds of how to set up scripts. I'm just going to show you. There's 3 supporting scripts that make this flow work. There's a dispatch rows for event creation script, which is going to take this email template and do some work to find the day that this template should go out. There's key dates and deadlines that exist in my events table, and this time anchor field with this day's offset field are going to tell the dispatch script the date that says pitching begins tied to this event, send the email 0 days after that, or send the email on that day. Whereas if I want to follow up with someone I'm pitching, send that 3 days after pitching begins. And that's 3 work days as well. So the dispatch script is looking for Monday through Friday that it could send these emails. That's it for that script. The next script is going to help us send the email to queue. So the email has a new date tied to it. We know who the email belongs to because we also have this who field here. We have deeper conditions fields that we can tie to it as well that the queue will read. The queue script is going to send the right template to the right person for the right event into the email queue. If the person is not tied to the event we are trying to send an email for, they'll just not be added to the queue. If we've already sent them this email and it's a duplicate of the same email template we're trying to tie to the same person and event, it won't send them to the queue. And if they don't meet the conditions anymore, it won't send them to the queue. You can program more nuance into your scripts. Maybe you have specific conditions where your email template goes out to sponsors, but only speaking sponsors. So you'd set up conditions and make sure your queue gets it. And this is just about fleshing out that script at that level. And that's really it. The scripting is about how well you can articulate what actually goes on in your own operations. Then what happens is we have this email status field go from queued to personalized, because this subject line template and this email body template will then go through this process in the back end where the email body gets personalized. All those placeholder fields were updated here. The rich text formatting was pushed over as well, which is nice. And we'll see here as well the subject line, get personalized. Then we'll see the send date field. I have an automation run that every day on a schedule, it will see, is today the date in this send date time field? If so, let's check this box. Let's go into the automations within Airtable right now. So now you can see I have many different supporting automations for my Airtable base. We have that placeholder replacer script. You see here if the status is queued, then run the script to identify placeholders and push the correct information into the copy. We'll see in this script, if something is in the queue, it has been personalized, it says ready to send. It won't even have a date because it's an autoresponder. We'll just say send method has any of autoresponder and then automatically check the send now box. But if the email does have a send date in the future, that's where we say every 24 hours, let's see, is the send date today? Then we run this script. We're going to check the send now box right within this script. And in this last automation tied to the bulk email sending process, if that send now box is checked, we run a script to trigger the email sending process. When you look at it right in the database, it might look complicated. There's scripting, there's automations to support everything, but it is simple. We're trying to articulate the process that needs to happen, the processes that need to happen, because there's multiple going on. And we just want to have our SOPs in place for each one of them. And that is essentially what we're doing. We are getting very clear on the whole journey that an automation is taking, that a speaker is taking, that a sponsor is taking. When that send now button is checked and triggers Zapier to run, this is what's going to run. This first step is going to catch the webhook that was in that send now script that I have in Airtable. If there's a record ID that I've tied to the end of that webhook, we find the record in Airtable, in the base, in the email queue, search by the record ID I'm trying to find. Here's an example of a record ID that was caught in this webhook step up here. Then I have this formatting step in Zapier that is essentially going to say convert Markdown into HTML so that the Gmail email I'm about to send has bullets, has headings, has italics, has hyperlinks. That's the most important thing to me. I'll just explain this a little bit. I go through it more in other videos. In this step, I want to say, for example, if an email is a parent email, then just send it as a one-off email. If it is a thread email, because in Airtable, I've specified, actually, I have an invitation email and this follow-up email, thread it to the invitation email. Make the invitation email the parent of the follow-up email. Then I want Zapier to send my follow-up email as a reply right in the invitation email thread. Now this split path step, what it's saying is if and only if the email template getting sent to someone in the queue does not have something in a field called thread parent, then send an email and also update the status to say email sent, add the send time, also add the Gmail message ID and the Gmail thread ID. Whereas if the email template now getting sent to someone has in the thread parent field something in there, then what we want to do is find the queue record where that same person was sent that template. Once we find that, we can find the Gmail ID, the thread ID, and send our next email to this person as a reply to that parent email that we sent earlier. So here we're saying in Gmail, reply within that same email to that same person that we found in the queue with that message ID. And there's our email body over here. Then I run this other zap where I got a new email. Let's find out who they are in the queue. Let's update the queue record to include status replied and even add the person's reply into Airtable as well. And then for me, I like to send autoresponders based on how they have responded to my pitch stage emails. So if my email template name is invitation, or if the parent of an email template is the invitation. So remember how I have threaded emails, like a follow-up email. And other things I put in this thread are the no thank you email, the request for information, the woohoo, glad to have you email. Those all go into that thread as well. So we're going to catch those here. Then we're going to look at the prospects table to find the person who replied up at this step. And that's when I have ChatGPT run to research. So lots of context. Your strict email reply classifier, the goal, read one prospect email, read the whole thread, read what I wrote, read what they wrote. If there's any back and forth, read it all. And if you're not 95% sure how to categorize this, say uncategorized. And then the categories it can take the prospect with would be any of these. So uncategorized, no thank you, request more info, I'm in, out of office, and delivery failure as well. So that's it. That is the whole email flow. The hard part is building out all the templates ahead of time and building them in a way that you can reuse them over and over. A lot of summit hosts will almost get it all the way and their documentations will be really good. Like they know to put year as a placeholder field, but keep the event name because the event name's going to stay the same, but the year's going to change. But then there's always something in an email template that you have to delete and then copy paste something new into. Like, for example, maybe your audience positioning has changed. So for me, instead of having to go into an email template to change my audience positioning, I just have that baked into my template too. Like this summit is for women in perimenopause who want clear answers about blah, blah, blah. These two fields will be pushed into my email template. You could see that right here. Hope you got some takeaways from this video. I know there's a lot going on here under the hood. Not everyone will appreciate that. I figured summit hosts are the type of people who do want to see this because operations really are everything to running a successful summit. And I have a couple more videos up and coming. And if you'd like to book a call with me, there should be a booking call link below this video.